продолжаем наш поход на магов-евреев. Так, что у нас по заданию? Ну, по доставке мы вчера уже проверили, там ничего не будет. Так, канал. Так, тут ничего у нас нету. Сильно взрослым. Закрытие все разрывы. Ну там мы огребаем по полной. Мне, кстати, вот интересно, где можно найти обсидиан. Я его все так и не могу найти. Быстренько погуглим. Понятно. Ну да, маги-евреи. А храмовники у нас еретики, которые пытаются их сжечь. Ну, короче, вспоминаем историю Второй мировой, где фашисты сжигали евреев. Вот тут то же самое. Только храмовники и маги. Так, в логове драконов, в пещерах, в южных горах. Я понял. Это задание мы пока не пройдем. Так, а вот это вот выбрано фермерское хозяйство возле пещеры. Я это место видел, но вернемся мы к нему чуть позже. Пойдемте, ставку командования.
The Inquisition appreciates your assistance in this matter, Lady Corbin. And my miners appreciate your business. You'll have your lyrium by the end of the week. I should tell you, Ambassador, the Chantry raised some fuss when they learned about our arrangement. The Inquisition must certainly seem an audacious idea to the Grand Clerics. We hope to convince them it is a necessary one as well. I'll take my leave. Good day.
Who was she, Ambassador?
A merchant. I thought we should reach out to the dwarves to secure lyrium for the Inquisition's mages. According to Lady Corbin, it raised the ire of the Chantry.
How?
Access to lyrium makes us rather more formidable than anticipated. We're becoming a challenge. Sadly, the remaining Grand Clerics appear to be consolidating the Chantry's power instead of comforting the masses.
Mage circles started falling years ago. The Chantry was troubled even before the Divine's murder.
Yet many people continue to bear it great love. We will not benefit from its decline. Little but the Chantry ties Orlais, Nevarra, Ferelden, Antiva, and even Rivain to a common cause.
Has the Chantry truly promoted such peace?
Andrasti's chant is familiar across kingdoms, a source of many shared customs. That is the crucial point. Common ground is the start of all negotiations.
Are you sure? Families often fight the hardest.
Having grown up among four siblings, I concede your point. I found, however, that the only time two parties cannot negotiate is when they cease to speak. We must learn to think beyond our own wants, to secure peace in Thedas.
Planning to steer the history of the world, Ambassador Montilier?
I believe the Inquisition is already charting that course. Which brings me to a question, if you have a moment. The remaining Grand Clerics sent a missive inquiring about the events at the Temple of Sacred Ashes. They demand to know whether the Inquisition officially claims that Andraste saved you from the breach. If it were up to you, how would you reply?
Will my answer change your reply to the Chantry?
If Leliana, Cassandra, Cullen, and I could agree on our official stance, I could answer that. We should decide soon. The revered mothers don't seem to know what to make of you.
Вот мне интересно, этот выбор как-то повлияет на будущее? Ну, давайте это лично.
I'd rather not say.
Ah, I quite understand. A pleasant day to you.
You've brought back some fascinating things. We're putting them to good use.
София? Или как правильно будет? Привет. Или hello.
I'll speak with you later.
Thank you again for what you've brought back. We can use that. Hello? Can I help you with something?
I'll speak with you later.
Travel safely. If you find anything, please bring it in.
Good day to you.
What do the people make of us?
Despite our fame, we're low on steadfast allies. We must aim for more.
Any visiting dignitaries I should watch out for?
Lady Drummond promised a visit. She has useful resources if we can get her to set aside her games.
What are her politics?
Oh, no, I meant actual games. Chess, cards, dice, little boards with carved idols from Tevinter. She made me play that with her for 8 hours once. Steer her towards cards, if she insists on a match.
I understand you were instrumental. It is well done. And I pray this Inquisition fares better than the Chantry in its handling of magic.
We will try.
In some ways, Andraste had the simpler task. Magic should serve man, and not rule over him. That tells us what should be, but it does not tell us how to get there. So many times the methods of men have undone the spirit of their goals. Once you have sealed the breach, we shall see whether this Inquisition is truer to the Chantry, or its own namesake.
Farewell.
Так, а кто у нас здесь? Клиент.
If Fiona and her malcontents are joining us as allies, we need to be prepared. Abominations are inevitable. Cullen doesn't have enough Templars to handle incidents. Some of the rank and file need to be trained.
Train our people, but keep it a secret. Let the mages think they're not being watched.
I like the way you think, darling. I'll have a word with Cullen. We are reliant on his people, absolutely. There has never been a greater threat to mages than the breach. Until it is closed, no one is safe.
You have a low opinion of your fellow mages.
It's not so much an opinion as grasping the obvious. Magic is dangerous, just as fire is dangerous. Anyone who forgets this truth gets burned.
You're right, but Templars are a poor solution.
They are men, and all men are flawed. That some fail does not mean that none should try. The fact remains that there is no cure for an abomination except death. Someone must strike the killing blow. Who shall lower the blade if not a Templar? Tell me something. As you will no doubt have a hand in shaping it, what future do you see for mages?
Интересный вопрос. Почему нет варианта, чтобы сделать круг, но чтобы они были свободны? Чтобы совместить два в одном. Например, кто хочет жить в круге, те живут в нем, как и раньше. Потому что много таких магов, вот именно я уже встречал на пути 3 частей. А, например, свободные должны, грубо говоря, быть под надзором. Как бы за ними должны все равно следить. Ну ладно, давайте. Самое вот нейтральное, по-моему, вот именно не нужно в церкви.
Mages shouldn't be kept out of the chantry. Who knows the dangers of magic better than a mage?
A curious idea. Such twists and turns your mind takes. It's something to consider, my dear. I met an elven mage earlier. Solus, I believe he was called. I admit I was surprised. I didn't expect to find mages among the Inquisition. Tell me, why were you at the Divine Conclave?
The war benefits no one. It must end, and order must be restored.
If only the rebels saw things so clearly. Justinia's death has shattered the balance of power in Thedas. If it is not restored quickly, countless lives will be lost. Mages, Templars, innocent people of all kinds now look to the Inquisition to decide their fate.
That's why you wanted to be here. To have a hand in deciding that fate.
Wouldn't you? For almost 1,000 years, the world believed it was in the hands of the Maker. And now many believe you are the agent of his will. Whatever the truth is, that belief gives you power.
Nobody should claim to know the will of the Maker. Not me, and not the Chantry.
Perhaps nobody should. But if no one leads the way, many will be left behind in darkness. I've stolen enough of your time, my dear. Don't let me... Yes?
Is there anything I can do to help your efforts at restoring the Circle?
After the Circles fell, their libraries were plundered by scavengers. 1,000 years of recorded knowledge in the hands of bandits. It makes me sick to think of it. I've received news that some tomes have been located, if you are interested in righting this wrong.
I'll look into it for you.
If you can take care of this matter, the Circle would be in your debt. Yes?
Господи, еще до хрена всего натянул.
I wanted to ask you about the Circle of Magi.
Of course. What do you wish to know?
If the Circle disbanded, how can you still belong to it?
The Circle is an idea, my dear. And an idea cannot be dissolved. Many of the first enchanters voted for rebellion, caring little that anything short of a unanimous decision would pit men. Rather than dissolving it, Grand Enchanter Fiona's vote split the Circle in two. The rebels follow her, the loyalists follow me.
If you lead all the loyalists, why are you only First Enchanter and not Grand?
Grand Enchanters are elected, and since there are no First Enchanters besides myself, no vote. I could name myself Grand Enchanter, but the title holds no meaning now. When the Circles are restored, that will change.
What was it like to live in a circle?
My dear, your question is the root of all problems with mages. I cannot tell you. Every Circle was different. Their Templars were different, their politics unique. And every person within each tower had an experience of Circle life. Some people suffered and some were content. Some were cruel, some compassionate, and some indifferent. The same is true of people everywhere, in all circumstances, whether they are mages or not.
So, tell me about your personal...
I enjoyed life in the Montsimard Circle, my dear. It was an... And mages need the company of other mages. No one else can truly understand the challenges we face, nor see the world.
You must have been under constant supervision being forced by Templars to live in the tower. Was that hard to endure?
My dear, I have a suite in the palace and a wing at my dear Duke Bastien's. Most circles allowed mages to live away from the tower, either on their own. All that was required was permission from the first. Some circles were harsher in their restrictions. Kirkwall was the worst, but it was the exception. Most were quite, perhaps too permissive in retrospect.
В Кирколе, да.
How did we come to this state with...
A failure of perspective that infected. Mages lived solely in a world of Templars and mages. They could not even imagine what was beyond the tower walls. Kirkwall gave the world a reason to remember its fear of magic. A mage killed hundreds with it. Across Thedas, a new tangible fear of magic grew. Commoners and nobles alike called out to the Chantry for protection. But the malcontents in the towers thought nothing of this. They cared only for themselves and for their... When a mage attempted to assassinate Divine Justinia, again, the mages protested the investigation. The leadership chose to vote on independence based on the intolerable conditions imposed by... sparing no thought to the fact that magic was more feared in the aftermath of these... So long as they had their freedom, they could care little for riots, angry mobs, or about pitting mages against each other.
Are you familiar with...
We've met. Before her horrendously ill-timed and selfish vote for independence, I thought her adequate at her... In her dotage, she could not handle looking after the well-being of so many people. We would have done better to replace her years ago, to let her spend time gardening.
Did they have...
In the aftermath of their terrorist attacks? Was that really... By all means protest abuses by the Templars. Just don't do it in a way that says mages support wholesale. By voting when they did, my colleagues all but declared war upon the ordinary people of Thedas. A war in which we are outnumbered 100 to 1.
I thought the fighting was only between mages and Templars.
The vote for independence was carried by only a small margin. Those who opposed a rash declaration of war against the entire free world had... By breaking from the Chantry when they did, the rebels declared themselves in support of mass. Anyone who did not wish to support terrorism and the slaughter of innocents was forced to take arms against the rebels. Yes?
I wanted...
Нет, не то выбрал.
Yes?
Я мы как раз про храмовник.
Of course.
You must have an opinion of the Templars after living so...
Having opinions about Templars, my dear, is exactly like having opinions about mages or Navarra. I have known some who were impossible to endure, and some who were utterly charming. I have suffered insults at the hands of those in the armor, but no more than I endured from noble. Personally, I have found the Templars a useful tool, skilled at keeping more unpleasant. Yes?
I'd like to know more about you.
Whatever would you like to know?
Your accent's not Orlesian. Where
I am from the Circle, my dear. But if you must know, I was born in Wycombe in the... I was sent to the Ostwick Circle, but I transferred to Montsimard while still an apprentice.
I'm curious how a Circle mage
Nobody winds up at court, my dear. It takes a great deal of effort to arrive there. I caught the eye of Duke Bastien de Ghislaine, an advantageous connection. When the position of Enchanter to the Imperial Court became vacant, I was able to secure it.
You're married to the...
Of course not, my dear. Marriage is the business of alliance and inheritance. I'm Bastien's mistress.
And what does the Duchess de Ghislaine think of this arrangement?
We got along quite well. Duchess Nicoline and I used to host musical salons together. She passed away from a fever a few years ago, the poor dear.
What duties does a...
I am tasked with providing a... Most of my predecessors restricted this to lighting lamps and... In such troubled times as these, however, I provide political advice to Her Majesty on the subject of the Mage Rebellion.
Надо со всеми переговорить перед тем, как мы покинем вообще это место. С какое-то и задание уйдем.
The Inquisition supports free mages. What's next? Elves running Halam-Sharal? Cows milking farmers?
There was no other choice.
Oh, there were definitely other choices. You picked the one that'll shock the children. I do wonder if you've considered what this support of yours will do. For mages, the Inquisition is seen as an authority. You've given southern mages license to, well, be like mages back home.
Нет, мы не пойдем по этому слабозадому пути.
What would be wrong with that exactly?
Nothing. Thing is, the Imperium was once just like the South. Templars, proper... Not that this is reason to oppress us. Still, my homeland should be a cautionary tale, not a source of inspiration.
Have you gone to see Alexius yet?
Not yet, no. I suppose the Inquisition will judge him eventually. I wonder if there's a... He hardly deserves it, but for Felix's sake. I can't help hoping there's something left of the man. A little bird told me you were part of the Carter Inquisitor.
A little bird?
Well, a big bird. A big, indiscreet bird who was drunk at the time.
What you heard was true. I was once part of the Carta.
Not any longer. Too bad. There are back home you see dwarves everywhere. And not rather odd how in the south everyone thinks of dwarves as merchants. Limited. Maybe you'll change that. In the future, one will hear dwarf and think Messiah. Down with stereotypes.
I'd like to ask you about Tavin.
Ah, yes. Everyone outside the Imperium always seems... Probably why they come up with so many ridiculous tales. Flying cows over Minrat. All right, that one's actually true, but the cows didn't have wings. I digress. Anything in particular you wanted to know?
Just how often is blood magic used there?
Oh,
Not at all.
that's what any Magister would tell you. They'd be convincingly offended by the notion. Of course, what people call blood magic here, and what we consider blood magic, are two different things.
What's considered actual blood magic?
Blood magic isn't inherently dangerous. Using your own blood or that of a willing participant. The problem is that what's permitted only gets you so much power. And what if you need more? That's where we get into sacrifices and demon summoning. None of that is behind closed doors. It's a different story. Real blood magic can... It's safe to assume that any mage of rank does it. The rest are quietly shut out of power, to put it bluntly.
You'd think the Templars would object.
I imagine they did. Once, their investigations might have been sincere. Then their balls were cut. Nowadays, only the friendless are accused. Most of them probably innocent.
There must be some mages who oppose them.
Of course. I do. And I'm not into... Occasionally, there'll be a Magister who makes noise. And then the reform talk begins. All very... Meanwhile, that Magister will be quietly shunned. Chances are, most learn to keep quiet. Me? I enjoy the allure of pariahhood.
Anyone who talks about the Imperium mentions slavery. It's...
Ah.
And did you have...
Not personally, but my family does and treats them well. Honestly, I never thought much about it until I came south. Back home, it's... how it is. Slaves are everywhere. You don't question it. I'm not even certain many slaves do.
You think slaves like it that way?
I didn't say they like it. It's all most of them know. In the south, you have alienages, slums, both human and elven. The desperate have... Back home, a poor man can sell himself. As a slave, he could have a position of respect, comfort, and could even support a... Some slaves are treated poorly, it's true. But do you honestly think inescapable poverty is better?
At least they're free. They don't have slavery forced on them.
You think people choose to be poor and oppressed? I don't know what it's like to be a slave, true. I never thought about it until I saw how different it was here. But I suspect you don't know either. Nor should you believe that every tale of Tevinter excess is the norm.
I'm wondering if the Imperium would be...
I'd think you'd be more concerned whether or not they'd support the They won't, of course. At least, not officially. They'll disavow all knowledge of dangerous cultists. Secretly, many Magisters will rejoice at the idea. And if the South falls...
It would be in the Imperium's best interest to help. Surely, could you...
I think the Imperium gave up on the idea of allies. We've been fighting the Qunari for what? 200 years off and on? It's a point of pride that we go it alone. They'll sneer at the South behind their silk handkerchiefs and say, "You've had it easy for fun." Let's not forget that the Inquisition seems to be an arm of the Orlesian Chantry. Anathema so far as they're concerned.
We're not part of the Chantry. The Chantry opposed...
You think that matters? The Herald of Andraste. Your very title smacks of the Southern Chantry. You may as well... I think they're far more frightened what you'll do if you succeed.
There's an Imperial Chantry, isn't there?
You people aren't supposed to talk about the Black Divine. If you mention him outside the Imperium, people make that face, like you're urinating in public. But yes, we do have the Chantry, or a version of it. Night and day comparing it to yours.
Do you really call him the Black?
We don't. In the Imperium, he's the true Divine. The woman sitting on the Sunburst throne is some back... It all stems from a disagreement over Andraste.
Why would they disagree over Andraste?
It's not my field of expertise, but the Imperium... Down south, they say, no, she's the bride of the Maker, ascended to his side. We feel better believing Andraste was one of us. Makes executing her less damning, you see. So we elected a man as divine, the South declared war, and we've been feuding cousins ever since.
So the Imperial Divine is always...
All the better to distinguish him from that other one. Don't think there aren't a number of female magisters who bristle at that. Why can't... Same reason you never see a man on the Sunburst throne. Because that's how it's always been done. Excellent reasoning.
Do you consider your...
It might surprise you that I do consider myself... It is a relic, whether back home or here in the South. It's not an opinion that makes me popular.
I share your...
That's not surprising. I'll say this. I may not believe in the
In me.
You are what we needed most at the moment we needed it. That's what they will say in ages to come.
You don't seem like the...
If you define religious as sitting in a church, if you define it as believing in the possible, the world is bigger than I am. Even bigger than... The Maker doesn't need me to believe. But I do.
Is the Imperial Chant...
Not it. But perhaps it started with good intention. Mostly they inform... So many questions. I find it strange that your mages... Actually, the fiction in the Imperium... The Magisterium rules. That Magisters are all... The upper house of the Imperial Senate. And the... Those seats are split. It's odd that outside the Imperial...
If you're not...
I'm an Altus.
I've never heard of...
Upper class. Though, if you're not a mage at all, you're... Thus the Archon. The idea that any... Poor sods don't... If you're a second-class citizen... Of course. Fair enough. And beyond my being so charming and well-dressed, which is obvious to anyone. That's Tevinter in a nutshell, isn't it? They got me. I declined. Not everyone feels... If I truly... I'm sure some magisters would disagree. That's too bad.
So we have gained the mages. You are certain you experienced time travel?
Dorian was sure.
What an amazing gift. It is vital the Inquisition succeed to avoid the future you witnessed.
I'm surprised you're not more interested in your own future.
I know enough. If that future happened, then I, and Cassandra, Cullen and the rest... Speaking of which...
4.
And now again at Red... A being who aspires...
I met Warden.
Well, that's mages all over. So many robes, I bet all of for... I'll just be the other side of Haven. Just in case.
These mages are here to aid...
Sure. I mean, yay, freedom. Great for them. Over there, away from me.
How much did you need?
The Mage Rebellion joins the Inquisition. I've got to admit, that's a twist One thing you saw in the future worries me. I mean, it was all bad. Finding more of it really punches a hole in my red lyrium at the temple was a coincidence theory.
How long does it take for red lyrium to grow?
It took years to infect people in Kirkwall, but no one there was actually ingesting. This Elder One managed to take the worst thing I can think of and make it worse. That's an accomplishment.
We can't leave a single piece of that lyrium.
I'm with you on that. I've got people trying to find out where the red stuff came from. But you just won a big victory for the Inquisition. What are you going to do to celebrate?
That's a good point. We should celebrate. A banquet.
Word to Josephine, and I bet she could arrange anything. Things should be calm around here for at least the next hour. Take a moment. If the world's about to end, I'm sure the Seeker will let us know.
Master Harris.
Can I help you with something? Thanks for checking anyway.
It seems Blackwall knows nothing about the disappearance. I am, however, glad. He seems to be a good man, and his experience will be an asset. As for the other wardens, I suppose we will have to keep looking.
In Redcliffe, you sacrificed yourself so that I...
Of course I did. One small life in exchange for a second chance at history. I always loved a bargain.
It was still a sacrifice. And still no...
And I would do it again.
Anything...
Artigan has returned to Redcliffe Castle and resumed... The people are returning, slowly but... Unfortunately, our show of support for the mages has angered many.
Так, я понял, вернулся Бандеган. Так, надо продать шматье. У меня полностью инвентарь весь завален. Как меня раздражает эта иконка с заданием, где ничего нету.
Lissa wants to know if you have anything that can make taverns floor-based.
The Herald of Andraste is going to close the breach soon.
Not a moment too soon. This little town is filled to bursting. We need to clear out of here.
Мы не утались.
Master Harry said we weren't to sell Inquisition blood.
Так. Десятый уровень, не 9. Вот это самое то будет. Как раз и намного лучше характеристики у него. Так, сэра у нас... О-о-о. Вот. Вот это использую здесь. 6. Плюс 77. Этот 130. Угу. Так, Дориан. Так, он... А, ну да, он каким-то другим посохом пользовался, я ему забрал. Этот ему один. Так, Блэквелл. Вот я вот этот выдал меч, но увы, уровень пока не позволяет. Маг. Большой. Так, по оружию вроде бы все раскидали, вот не все. Щит от магии. Мы Кассандры видим. Так, по оружию мы все разобрали. Доспехи. Шлем стража можно взять. Кассандра, все нормально. Учение гномов. Надо будет Церри купить доспех. Вот. 67. Класс. Так, тут все. Аксессуары. Особенности действуют. Это магу надо лучше дать. Мы пользуемся в основном сейчас Вивьен. Ее польза есть. Дорину можно. А, только воин. Тогда Блэквелл. Нет, его надо лучше дать какому-нибудь магу. Вот, Вивьен. Ну и вроде все. Продаем все ненужное барахло. Рюкзак, сыра подаем, мак. Продаем, тоже продаем, продаем. Я не помню, стилет тоже продаем. 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 Это мы все пока оставляем. Те сладкие пальчики я лучше продам. Мне не нужны. Продаем. Вот эту штуку мы оставляем. Мы пока тоже оставим. Хотя продадим лучше. Мачете мы оставляем, это точно. Грузовой посох мы оставляем, мы собираем. Топор оставляем. Хотя топор мы продаем, у нас есть двуручный меч командора. И тоже продадим. Так, по броне. Продаем. Все остальное оставляем. Продаем. Покупаем доспех на разбойника. Это, кстати, прикольно выглядит, мне нравится. Так, шляпки пошли. Да, давайте вот это возьмем. Ну, вроде все. Все. Одеваем сэру в доспехи, которые мы только что купили. О, все идеально. Все ненужное барахло мы избавили.
The mages are ready to approach the breach. I pray this will be enough to close it.
I know you're worried about having the mages here. Give them a chance to prove themselves.
I'm not questioning their ability or their intentions, but we cannot ignore. I will not endanger the alliance you've created. Any precautions taken will be to ensure the safety of our people and the mages themselves. Nothing more.
That's all for now.
And what are we supposed to do, exactly?
What you always do. Complain.
We've already spoken with Commander Cullen. No one. We want better quarters. We want the Templars kept at a distance. And so...
This is not the Circle. You mages are our allies, not our wards.
How are we supposed...
Deal with it. It never ends, evidently.
Fighting with them will only make them more stubborn.
The mages are here as equals. They need to get used to what that... It is your doing, after all. You created this alliance.
Well, I hope it works. What other...
Oh. I do sound like I'm blaming you, don't I?
Да ладно!
I don't disapprove. In fact, you did well. And here we are. I wish I could say this was my doing.
You're flattering me.
I'm not. This always happens. Nobody ever takes my meaning.
You should see your face.
I'm thinking less flattering things now. Let's hope the breach has your sense of humor. Go on, then.
I have some more...
Why am I not surprised?
Tell me...
I'd rather not.
I'll let you...
Здесь мы вроде все закончили. Давайте сходим еще до Блэквелла.
Travel safely. Flister thought you and your men might be working.
Харит, по-моему, если не ошибаюсь, он был у нас в первой части. Насколько я помню, это был этот демон. Отменный волнистый клинок. А все. Нет, еще что-то второго не было. Удары была. О. Это для бьянца. Но это мы уже видели, народная руна. Ого. Я вот хочу посмотреть, вот как этот клинок будет себя показывать в деле. Урон 14. Ну ладно, давайте с этим попробуем. 115. Вот это сами люстр совершенства, назовем ее так. Она большинство урона будет. Ну, так-то ничего тут нету больше. Цвет меняется даже. Какой мы возьмем. Не, мне нравится вот Оникс, он такой, с одной стороны, блестит аж каким-то углом. Давайте Оникс возьмем. Телосложение сила, сила, телосложение сила. Вот его возьмем. Телосложение сила, телосложение. Это пятерочка, да? Ну, давайте драконий камень. Драконий камень возьмем и создаем. Долговечный палаш для силы. Так, а по характеристикам он у нас как? Ну, я думаю лучше Кассандре. Да, вот я его и отдам. Потому что он капец какой мощный. Так. Давайте посмотрим, что еще может создать. Например, щиты можно, нет? Щит. Вожака порождения тьмы. Ну, он так выглядит. Не особо. Чтобы он что-то четко выглядел массивно. Во, давайте щит вожака возьмем. Щита спереди 30. Вот у нас из железа. Максимально выдает 30. 30. Максимальное здоровье. Защита в ближнем бою 3%. Вот это вот мне нравится ошеломить. Вот мы давайте возьмем Оникс. Телосложение сила. служение. Активное служение.
Right.
Так, а по характеристикам у нас как? Просто 19. Ну да, защита в ближнем бою у нас пропадает. Надо давайте его возьмем. А Кассандре уже дадим вот этот вот. А, так он у нее лучше даже. Пец. Так, усовершенствовать доспехи. Доспех авангарда. Это же самое осталось. Нельзя улучшить, нельзя улучшить. Нет, успехи улучшить нельзя. Угу. Падает, вот вижу, да. По характеристикам. Нет, оставляем критическое. Все. Давайте возьмем одну. А, сброс способности? Не. Не.
You need something? Let me know.
Ладно, все, давайте с блоком переговорим и будем двигаться дальше по сюжету.
There was never going to be an easy answer to the mage dilemma. What you did for the mages took courage. You gave them a... Inquisitor? What do you think of the...
You already know what I think of your forces. I'm not...
Darkness creep. It is the whisper in the night, the lie.
Your enchanter Vivienne lives well.
She remains.
All repeat the chant of light. Only the word dispel.
Так, у нас, наверное, прокачка персонажа доступна, нет? Да, вот сэра доступна. Все, выдвигаемся дальше. Вроде сделали все, что надо. Сохранимся. Созываем совет. Грифония мантия. Нормально.
Chancellor Roderick
Это новое
came to
задание.
speak with me. Could you try not to antagonize him?
If I offend the man so easily, perhaps he should try leaving me alone.
Это бутылки с пчелами. Что? Так, давайте проблемы с Хартией посмотрим. Давайте. Возьмем их к себе. Отправим туда солдат.
To work?
Да ладно, Себастьян, привет.
At your service.
Это же Себастьян, наш союзник из второй части. Так, и давайте дальше по сюжету.
The rest of the mages are ready, Herald. Be certain you are prepared for the assault on the breach. We cannot know how you will be
Поехали. Что с собой берем? Ага. Ой. Так, Кассандра, Варик. Кто у нас? Давайте Дорина возьмем еще.
Mages! Focus past the Herald. Let his will draw from you.
Все, что ли? Это все задание? Это все задание, все, что было? Нам даже не показали, что с ней случилось, этой брешью. Все? Пошел бухать.
Solus confirms the heavens are scarred but calm. The breach is sealed. We've reports of lingering rifts, and many questions remain. But this was a victory. Word of your heroism has spread.
You know how many were involved. Luck put me at the center.
A strange kind of luck. I'm not sure if we need more or less. But you're right. This was a victory of Alliance. One of the few in recent memory. With the breach closed, that alliance will need new focus.
Вот походу и цель идет.
Forces approaching! To arms!
What the? We must get to the gates.
I knew it was too easy.
We have to put up barricades or something.
Cullen?
One watchguard reporting. It's a massive force, the bulk over the mountain.
Under what banner?
None.
None?
I can't come in unless you open. I'm Cole. I came to warn you, to help. People are coming to hurt you. You probably already know.
What is this? What's going on?
The Templars come to kill you.
Templars? Is this the Order's response to our talks with the mages, attacking blindly?
The Red Templars went to the Elder One. You know him, he knows you. You took his mages. There.
This Elder
Корифей. Старый наш знакомый.
He's very angry that you took his mages.
Cullen, give me a plan. Anything.
Haven is no fortress. If we are to withstand this monster, we must control the battle. Get out there and hit that force. Use everything you can. Mages! You have sanction to engage them. That is Samson. He will not make it easy. Inquisition! With the Herald! For your lives! For all of us!
Будем сейчас мочить в сортире. Иди сюда.
Little bastard.
Almost ready. Keep them off us.
Ну он бегут, пидорасы. Красный храмовник это, блин, что?
Make it take you.
Сюда.
trebuchet. It isn't firing.
Так, погоди, по-моему, там прыгачка наступит. Кассандра. Так, погоди, что у нее еще вкачано? А. Точняк. Кстати, все за Тангу. Мало ли что полезное будет. Дорогу! Быстро поднимать своих. Найди. Get over here. Умер.
We've got time. Crew the trebuchet. Start firing.
Всех накрыло. Архидемон?
Shit, who ordered the end of the damned world?
Everyone to the gates.
Help me with this door! Good one! Just grabbing essentials. One died for the food.
Давай, Халид, беги. Двигайся, Варик. Сколько убитых.
Move it! Move it! We need everyone back to the Chantry. It's the only building that might hold against that beast. At this point, just make them work for it. The villagers will need help if they are to survive this.
Обожаю этот боулинг. кто-то сидит внутри. Как туда залезть-то?
We're losing people.
Я не успел, что ли? Нет, я хочу переиграть. Хочу спасти этого педривого внутри. Да. Да не мешайся ты. Господи. Уже поздно, да, он уже умер. Серьезно? Сохраниться. Все переключилось. Давай, боец. Так, по-моему, у нас девушка где-то была. Тоже в горящем доме. Или где-то тут.
Hear that?
Вот он.
I knew you would
Hear that?
It's going to explode! Help! Another dead!
Господи, от него черепки остались. Боже мой! Парень, беги, беги быстрее.
I hear a voice.
Back, you bastards!
That's the lot of them. Let's go.
The chantry is your shelter.
He tried to stop a Templar. The blade went deep. He's going to die.
What a charming boy.
Harold, our position is not good. That dragon stole back any time you might have earned us.
I've seen an archdemon. I was in the Fade, but it looked like that.
I don't care what it looks like. It's got a path for that army. They'll kill everyone in Haven.
The Elder One doesn't care about the village. He only wants the Herald.
I don't care what he wants. How do I stop him?
It won't be easy. He has a dragon.
We know what he... Herald, there are no tactics to make this survivable. The only thing that slowed them was the avalanche. We could turn the remaining trebuchets, cause one last slide.
We're overrun. To hit the enemy, we'd bury Haven.
We're dying, but we can decide how. Many don't get that choice.
Yes, that. Chancellor Roderick can help. He wants to say it before he dies.
There is a path. You wouldn't know it unless you'd made the summer pilgrimage, as I have. The people can escape. She must have shown me. Andraste must have shown me so I could tell you.
What are you on about, Roderick?
It was whim that I walked the path. I did not mean to start. It was overgrown. Now, with so many in the Conclave dead, to be the only one who remembers. I don't know, Harold. If this simple memory can save us, this could be more than mere accident. You could be more.
What about it, Cullen? Will it work?
Possibly, if he shows us the path. But what of your escape? Perhaps you will surprise it. Find a way. Inquisition, follow Chancellor Roderick through the Chantry. Move!
Harold, if you are meant for this, if the Inquisition is meant for this, I pray for you.
They'll load the trebuchets. Keep the Elder One's attention until we're above the tree line. If we are to have a chance, if you are to have a chance, let that thing hear you.
If there's one thing I know, it's how to get an asshole's attention.
Ну да, ты мне сейчас будешь глаза мозолить, гребаный мешочек.
The trebuchet must be aimed quickly.
Да иди, куда ты? Иди сюда. Так, может, что по перкам есть? Интересное такое. Опять мешочек там остался. Ёпта! Против одного будет легче сражаться. его долго убивать. А, у него я ж не добавил баночку точно. За мной, за мной, за мной. За мной, за мной, за мной. Карлито! Приперся. Корифеюшка. Офигенно.
Enough! Pretender, you toy with forces beyond your ken, no more.
What are you? Why are you doing this?
Mortals beg for truth they cannot have. It is beyond what you are, what I was. Know me. Know what you have pretended to be. Exalt the Elder One. The will that is Corypheus. You will kneel.
This doesn't make sense. Let me understand.
Your understanding is not required. If you gain it, consider yourself blessed. I am here for the anchor. The process of removing it begins now. It is your fault, Herald. You interrupted a ritual years in the planning, and instead of dying, you stole its purpose. I do not know how you survived, but what marks you as touched, what you flail at rifts, I crafted to assault the very heavens. And you used the anchor to undo my work. The gall.
What is this thing meant to do?
It is meant to bring certainty where there is none. For you, the certainty that I would always come for it. I once breached the Fade in the name of another to serve the old gods of the Empire in person. I found only chaos and corruption, dead whispers. For 1,000 years I was confused, no more. I have gathered the will to return under no name but my own, to champion Wither to Winter and correct this blighted world. Beg that I succeed, for I have seen the throne of the gods, and it was empty. The anchor is permanent. You have spoilt it with your stumbling. So be it. I will begin again. Find another way to give this world the nation and God it requires. And you, I will not suffer even an unknowing rival. You must die.
Ты в этом уверен?
You expect me to fight. But that's not why I kept you talking. Enjoy your victory. Here's your prize!
Снова долгая загрузка.
There.
Метка разрыва. Прикольная вещь. Так, погоди. Соединим. Что у меня было? Это, по-моему, да. Вместо чего ее можно поставить? Метка разрыва — это, конечно, хорошо, но... но все равно... Возьму больше. Насчет графики не надо больше внимания. Я специально пройду, чтобы
Recent.
Я вижу лагерь.
There! It's him!
Thank the Maker!
What would you have me tell them? This isn't what we asked them to do.
We cannot simply ignore this. We must find a way.
And who put you in charge? We need a consensus or we have nothing.
Please, we must use reason. Without the infrastructure of the Inquisition, we're hobbled.
I can't come from nowhere.
She didn't say it could.
Enough! This is getting us nowhere.
Well, we're agreed on that much.
Shh. You need rest.
They've been at it for hours.
They have that luxury thanks to you. The enemy could not follow, and with time to doubt, we turn to blame. Infighting may threaten as much as this Corypheus.
Do we know where Corypheus and his forces are?
We are not sure where we are, which may be why, despite the numbers he still commands, there is no sign of him. That, or you are believed dead. Or without Haven, we are thought helpless. Or he girds for another attack. I cannot claim to know the mind of that creature, only his effect on us.
The only thing yelling gets us is a headache. Another headache.
They know. But our situation, your situation, is complicated. Our leaders struggle because of what we survivors witnessed. We saw our defender stand and fall. And now we have seen him return. The more the enemy is beyond us, the more miraculous your actions appear, and the more our trials seem ordained. That is hard to accept, no? What we have been called to endure, what we perhaps must come to believe.
I escaped the avalanche. Barely, perhaps, but I didn't die.
Of course, and the dead cannot return from across the veil. But the people know what they saw. Or perhaps what they needed to see. The Maker works both in the moment and in how it is remembered. Can we truly know the heavens are not with us?
You saw Corypheus. What do you think of his claims of assaulting the heavens?
Scripture says magisters, to winter servants of false-old gods, entered the Fade to reach the Golden City, seat of the Maker. For their crime, they were cast out as darkspawn. Their hubris is why we suffer blight, and why the Maker turned from us. If such is the claim of this Corypheus, He is a monster beyond imagining. All mankind continues to suffer for that sin. If even a shred of it is true, all the more reason Andraste would choose someone to rise against him.
Corypheus said he found only corruption and emptiness. Nothing golden.
If he entered that place, it has changed him without and within. The living are not meant to make that journey. Lies he must tell himself.